If you've spent any time in the garden, you know this feeling well. You do everything right, yet the harvest still feels underwhelming. You compost, mulch, water faithfully, and still wonder what secret the truly abundant gardeners know. Today, on Soil Stories, I want to talk about one of the most debated, misunderstood, and surprisingly powerful tools I've personally experimented with over the years: copper wire in the garden. Now, let me be clear from the start. Copper wire is not magic. It won't turn dead soil into paradise overnight. But when used correctly, at the right time, and for the right reasons, it can significantly boost plant health, reduce stress, and yes, dramatically increase yields. In some gardens, it can feel like you've unlocked a hidden level. Let's dig into how and why this works, and how you can apply it responsibly in your own soil. Why copper matters more than most gardeners realize. Copper is a micronutrient, which means plants need it in very small amounts. But, they truly need it. In healthy soils, copper plays a key role in photosynthesis, enzyme activity, seed formation, and disease resistance. When plants lack copper, they often look weak, grow slowly and produce poorly, even if everything else seems fine. Modern soils are often depleted of micronutrients. Repeated harvests, erosion, chemical fertilizers, and even excessive composting can throw mineral balance off. Copper deficiency is far more common than many gardeners realize, especially in sandy soils or highly organic beds. What copper wire offers is not bulk nutrition, but a slow, subtle interaction with soil biology. Over time, exposed copper oxidizes and releases trace amounts of copper ions. These ions influence microbial activity, root signaling, and plant metabolism in ways that can improve overall vigor. The old gardening trick most people dismiss too quickly. You may have heard old gardeners talk about wrapping copper wire around plant stems, burying it near roots, or placing it in raised beds. Many dismiss this as folklore. I did too at first, but after testing it season after season in different soils and climates, I've learned something important. The method matters more than the material. Copper wire works best when it's used to gently influence the soil ecosystem, not force-feed plants. Thick chunks of copper or aggressive applications can actually do harm. But thin, bare copper wire used sparingly creates a subtle mineral signal that plants seem to respond to. This is not about dumping copper into your soil. It's about restoring balance where copper is missing. Now, let's talk a bit about how copper wire interacts with soil life. Healthy soil is alive, Bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and earthworms, they all form this vast underground network that feeds plants in exchange for sugars. Copper ions, they influence this network by acting as a regulator. In very small amounts, copper encourages beneficial microbial diversity while suppressing certain pathogenic fungi and bacteria. This is actually one reason gardeners notice stronger stems, darker leaves, and better flowering when copper is present. The plant is not just growing faster, it's growing smarter. Energy that would normally go into fighting disease or stress is redirected into fruit and seed production. In my own beds, I've noticed that plants grown with trace copper support often show improved resistance to blight, mildew and root rot. Not immunity, but resilience. And you know, resilience is what leads to bigger harvests. The right way to use copper wire in the garden? Well, let's talk practical application, because honestly, this is where most folks get it wrong. The best copper wire to use is thin, bare, uncoated copper. Electrical wire stripped of its plastic coating works real well. And you don't need much, not at all. In fact, less is better. Overuse can lead to toxicity, which will actually stunt growth instead of boosting it. For planting holes, I place a short piece of copper wire, usually about 5 to 8 centimeters long, horizontally in the soil, just a few centimeters away from where the roots will grow. Never wrap it tightly around the stem or roots. Plants need freedom, not restriction. In raised beds, I sometimes lay a single continuous strand near the bottom layer of soil, especially in beds that have been heavily composted year after year. This helps rebalance micronutrients without disturbing the soil structure. For container plants, copper wire can be gently placed along the inner edge of the pot, never touching the main root ball directly. The goal is proximity, not contact. Why some gardeners see massive results and others see none. This is important to understand. Copper wire does not, triple harvests in already balanced soils. It triples harvests in soils where copper is actually limiting growth. If your soil already contains adequate copper, well, you may see little to no change. That's not failure, that's confirmation your soil is already healthy in that regard. However, if your plants are pale, weak, prone to disease, or produce lots of leaves but few fruits, copper deficiency could be part of the puzzle. When that missing piece is restored, growth can seem explosive. This is why some gardeners swear by copper wire, while others call it nonsense. They're gardening in different soils. Now, crops that respond best to copper support, in my experience, fruiting crops show the most dramatic improvement. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, cucumbers, and squash often respond with thicker stems, better flowering, and improved fruit set. Root crops like carrots and beets show more uniform growth, while leafy greens tend to develop deeper colour and better texture. Perennial plants, especially fruit trees and vines, benefit more slowly but more sustainably. A small amount of copper introduced once can support growth for years if soil biology remains healthy. Again, patience matters. Copper wire is not a quick fix. It's a long-term soil investment. What copper wire is not? Let's clear up a few myths. Copper wire is not a fertilizer replacement. You still need compost, organic matter, and proper nutrients. It is not a pest killer. While copper surfaces can deter slugs and snails in certain setups, that's a different mechanism entirely. It is not a miracle cure for poor gardening habits. Bad watering, compacted soil, and poor sunlight cannot be fixed with copper. What it is a subtle tool that supports the invisible processes that make plants thrive. Listening to your soil is the real secret. One thing Soil Stories is all about is observation. Your garden is always talking to you. Copper wire works best when you pay attention to how your plants respond. If growth improves, great. If plants show stress or discoloration, remove it and let the soil recover. Gardening is not about domination. It's about partnership with the soil, with microbes, and with the plants themselves. When you respect that balance, simple tools like copper wire can unlock incredible abundance. Final thoughts from the garden. The idea that something as simple as a piece of copper wire could triple your harvest sounds unbelievable. And honestly, it should. Skepticism is healthy in gardening, but so is curiosity. If you approach this method thoughtfully, test it in a small area, and observe carefully, you may discover that your soil has been quietly asking for copper all along. That's the magic of gardening. The answers are often already beneath our feet. If you found this guide helpful and want more real, experience-based soil wisdom, make sure to subscribe to Soil Stories, share this with a fellow gardener, and keep growing with me. Together, we'll keep uncovering the quiet secrets that turn ordinary gardens into thriving ecosystems.